Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, for me, it's over. I'm sorry. Well, I've got 2 emails that I'm going to go through with you today. Before we get into it, I got a quote that I wrote I want to share with you on this topic. It says, women want to be in a love story that never ends. They want to feel special, loved, and like their men understand them and are responsive to their needs. A woman knows that if a man really loves her, he won't just say all the right things. He will show her through his actions on a continual basis by continuing to date and court her properly. Getting busy or caught up in his career, business, or purpose is not a valid excuse for stopping the courtship or taking his woman for granted. A woman knows that if you love her, you will make time for her. It is simply a matter of priority. If your woman is no longer a priority to you, eventually she will tire of your excuses, lack of action, and give up on you. If you don't date your wife or girlfriend, some other guy eventually will. Some other dude will come right along and take her right off your hands and help you out with that. And then you'll be sending me an email saying, dude, how do I get my ex back? So I've got a couple emails from guys that are kind of in that situation. And the thing is, a lot of women, when they break up with a guy, they say the same thing. You never listened to me. And the guy's thinking, what the hell? Of course I did. But she's constantly complaining and saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. And the guy typically comes back with a logical response and says, hey, here's my reasons, thinking that the reasons are okay and justification. In their minds, they think, hey, she's still with me, so we're good. And then, of course, when they get dumped, they're like, oh my God, I don't understand. I never saw this coming. She's like, you didn't listen. I kept telling you what I wanted, and you kept ignoring me and dismissing it. And when I talk to guys, they all say the same thing. I didn't think she was serious. I didn't take her seriously when she said that. It's like, why would you just ignore that? It's like, it sucks. So let's go ahead and jump right into the first guy's email. He says, hey Corey, I've been with a girl for 3 years and we recently broke up 2 weeks ago. Up until about 2.5 years, everything was going great. Then I got so busy with school and became lazy without continually building attraction, and things became a little stale. Her solution was, oh well, you're not making me feel special anymore, which she meant as, if you don't start attracting me and being the alpha male I started dating in the first place and make me feel special, I'll get bored and leave. That's a pretty good assessment, dude. He says, I need to know how to get the fine balance between continuing the playfulness and fun with her, but possibly easing up on the direct teasing the further into the relationship you are, and making her feel special. Well, those are things that I cover in my book. My book is 270 pages long, and I don't have the time here in a short video newsletter to go through all that stuff. There's a ton of things, but the simple answer is the courtship never ends. I devoted a whole entire chapter to that one topic in my book. You have to continue to date and court her, because what you did to cause her to fall in love with you is what you have to continue to do to make her want to stay in love with you and want to stay with you long term. I mean, think about it. Women are physically designed to receive a man's strength. And if you get busy and you get, in this particular case, you get caught up with school, or you get caught up in your career, your business, or whatever it happens to be, trying to be a good provider, the bottom line is she's no longer receiving your love and your strength and what she fell for. So it's like you sold her on one thing. It's kind of like a bait and switch. You sell her on this great romantic guy that you are, and then the first time something comes along that takes your time and your attention away, then she takes a back seat, she complains about it, and she tells you about it, and you're like, yeah, whatever, no problem, it's not a big deal, don't worry, it's going to change in the future. And you keep using logic and reason, and she's just like, he's not listening to me, he doesn't get it, and she keeps telling you, and she gets madder and madder, and eventually she drops a bomb on you. She's like, I'm over it, dude, and she gives up on you. And it's interesting. It's like, guys never seem to make time for their wives and their families, but you know what? They always seem to make time for a divorce attorney. Divorce rate's over 65%. Hello. He continues on, more importantly, ways to make her feel special without acting needy or over-complimenting, seeking approval, buying gifts, kissing her ass, etc. Again, those are basic questions that you can get answered in my book. And I don't have the time to go through all of them because there's literally dozens and dozens and dozens of things that I go through in my book. And you cannot just watch my videos. Watching my videos and reading articles on my website is not a substitute for reading my book. I know there's some guys who go, I don't like to read books. It's like, well, if you fail to plan, guess what? You plan to fail. He says it's a fine balance, and I feel that I dipped into the nice guy category more often than not near the end. Looking over the text for the past month is pretty humorous, and can't believe I was killing the attraction by playing textual grab-ass with her with constant boring questions of, hey, what are you up to? Rubbish. Perhaps I needed to spark more sexual attraction over text. No, what you need to do is to make dates. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. It's a simple formula. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. I say it all the time. There's no substitute for that. That's the whole reason you got together in the first place and became boyfriend-girlfriend. And it's like guys get to the point where they're like, hey, we're married. We got a 30-year mortgage. She's not going anywhere. She's my girlfriend. We've been together for several years. I got stuff that's important I got to take care of. Women are only going to put up with you getting busy and giving her excuses for so long, and eventually they're going to be like, he either doesn't love me or he doesn't get it. And it doesn't matter. Eventually they get tired because they want to feel loved. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel special. They want to feel beautiful. They want you to go out of your way. And then when you can't find any time to see them for several weeks on end, and some other guy comes along and is like, hey, how are you? And she's like, hey. And he starts to make her feel that same way that you used to make her feel. Well, guess what? Her attraction for you is dropping, and her attraction to some new dude is starting to increase. He says, anyways, the day before my last final 2 weeks ago, she calls while I'm in the library stressed out. And she asks if anything is on my mind about the relationship, which I reply yes to. Then she starts getting upset and doesn't think it's fair to make her wait until Friday to tell her. So instead of being a man and saying, I'll call you back Friday, I was stressed and I hadn't kept up with this information, and I started talking about every man's favorite subject, us. Nice. So you focused on yourself and what you wanted. The whole purpose of all relationships is you go there to give. And you didn't learn the fundamentals and you fucked up. She brought up not feeling special anymore, and I made the mistake of arguing about it while she was crying. That's definitely a bad way to go, dude. All you're communicating to her is that you don't love her and you don't care about her, and you're basically making excuses for the fact that you don't love her anymore. Or that you're not making her feel loved, I should say. Bottom line is she's crying, she's hurt, and she's crying because she doesn't feel loved. And you arguing with her just confirms to her that you really don't give a shit about her anymore, and she's not important, because for 2.5 years, she was a priority to you. And now your schoolwork is more important than she is. I mean, at least one date per week you could do, but you didn't even do that. He says, which led to me being frustrated. Anyways, I also made the mistake of saying, partly to get her off the phone so I could study, and partly because of my newfound neediness during the last 6 months, why don't we just meet each other's needs and what each other want to fix things? And if we don't see a future anymore, then what's the point? Well, you weren't meeting her needs, and she's trying to communicate that to you, and then you go like, hey, yeah, let's work on the relationship. It's like, that's great, it sounds great, but when your actions don't follow through on those lofty promises, she eventually realizes you're totally full of shit and you don't mean what you say. Women already instinctively know to look at what your actions are. If your actions and your words are not congruent, it don't fucking matter. All the flowery language and bullshit that you say, it don't mean nothing. Talk is cheap. He says, anyways, we said goodbye and I went back to study and didn't text her until Friday. And this was on a Tuesday that this conversation took place. He says, I sent a text about Santa and that he needs an elf to come by and help with lights, which she replied, please don't. I thought we talked about things on Tuesday. Came off as a little cold, and it wasn't the right text following such an intense conversation. When she reached out and she was upset, you should say, baby, you know what? I'm sorry. I've been busy with school, and I haven't made you a priority, and that was very selfish of me. But you know what? I really want to see you when you're free to get together. I miss you. And made a date. But you didn't do that. All you did was argue with her and give her logic and reason to try to make her go away so you could focus on your studying. Bad fucking way to go. I've done things like that in the past when I got lazy and I got complacent, and then when my girlfriend called me out on my bullshit and I gave her more excuses, guess what? The relationship didn't last a lot longer than that, and I learned the fucking hard way. And she said, you didn't listen. He says, anyways, for 3 weeks prior, we hadn't been together but talked on the phone and text every day. See, 3 weeks you went without seeing her. Bad way to go, dude. And she was saying she wanted to make it work, so we were still exclusive together. Yeah, you had a phone ship at that point. You're getting, oh yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to get together when these exams are over. Things are going to be awesome. And then we're going to spend time together. And it's always some excuse. But the bottom line is you were not taking her out and romancing her and making her feel special and beautiful and sexy and hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. You were just blowing sunshine up her ass over the phone, and eventually she got tired of your empty promises and your lack of action and said she'd had enough. He says, so we went out 2 weeks prior to the breakup and had an amazing night. We didn't have sex, which was dumb. He says, however, I brought up the fun night we had when I texted her after the breakup, not thinking that logic doesn't work, which she replied, okay, but that doesn't change anything now. Meaning she was acting out her emotions and how she felt, how nothing had to do within 2 weeks ago. Attraction, fun levels were going up and down after our Tuesday conversation. Then a week ago, she said, for me, it's over. I'm sorry. I can't keep doing this and thought we came to this conclusion on Tuesday. In other words, you thought you were able to just continue stringing her along for another week until finals were over. Then you were going to actually start making time for her. And in her mind, it ended on Tuesday. Because in other words, she's hurt, she's crying, and you're basically continuing to Kentucky guarantee her of how things are going to be great in the future. And she's like, no thanks, I'm done with the Kentucky guarantees because your actions and your words don't match. So I'm out of here, we're done. He says, point being, she's cold now, and I know that when we're together, she has an amazing time, and I can't obviously convince her of that now, even though the breakup was mutual. And I want to see her now that exams are over. Oh, now you want to see her. Now you want to make time for her when before you were too busy. And spark things up again, but all she has in her mind is that she's thinking things won't work, especially after the fight. I texted a couple of times since, however, not for 4 days now, and she replied with one answer text saying, I need some space and I don't want to talk about it anymore. And that's when you just say, all right, well, I'm sorry you want to give up, but let me know if you change your mind. You got to walk and never look back at that point, because it takes two to make a relationship work. She was trying to make things work, and you kept saying, not tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. You never got around to it. And eventually she tired and she says, no, I want some space. And you got to say, all right, well, if you don't want to work on things, then all right, well, give me a call if you change your mind. He says, but over text, there's no tone, and the last conversation we had over the phone was very negative, which is what she's now thinking about when she considers getting back together. Why she said, for me, it's over, I can't keep doing this. Now, calling at this point and flirting is going to come off as trying to get her back. I wouldn't do it, dude. It's a waste of time. She said, I need space. When a woman says, I need space, and I don't want to talk about this anymore, you don't keep calling like a stalker and trying to force her to give you time and attention. I know you see that shit in the movies, but hey, Elvis has left the building, dude. She has given up. She ain't making an effort. No amount of you trying to call her and stalk her verbally or over text is going to make, she's going to roll her head and says, you're not listening to me still. And you got to have the attitude of, hey, you know what? If you're not going to make the effort, I'm going to move on. I'm going to start dating other women. And if she calls you in the future, make a date. Hang out. Hey, babe, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? And you make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. But until she's reaching out to you, there's really nothing you can do at that point, because you've already not done enough for the point where she doesn't want to make any effort anymore because she's given up. He says, even though the breakup was mutual at that stressful time for me, it doesn't sound mutual to me. It sounds like you got dumped, dude, and you didn't want to admit it. But hey, it's mutual. You know, it's like, oh yeah, it was a mutual breakup. Whatever. You're bullshitting yourself, bro. He says, now that I'm up to speed on my game, I want to attract her and spark the chemistry back. But she has the negative thoughts of the argument in her mind, so calling or sending another text would irritate her, and that's why I haven't in 4 days. Yeah, it's like when she tells you to leave her alone, you need to leave her alone, man. He says, I know it won't work if we end things because I'd have to start over with getting her. I just want us to both forget about it, put it behind us, and chill out, Get her over and have sex and go from there. But calling, texting, Facebook message, and trying to attract is going to put her guard up and not let her mind go free. So I'm in a dilemma, and although I can usually make a joke out of it and get my way out of things, but for this it seems bigger. She wants to feel special, and it's not something I can blow off. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore and is acting nice and thinks I'm a pussy. So she wants things to be over based on that. When all I want is for her to come by so I can be the alpha male that she's been crazy about in the past 3 years, and add that I'm making her feel special moving forward. But getting contact, building attraction, sexual chemistry is key. The thing you got to remember, dude, is like she doesn't want anything to do with you right now. She says, I want space and I don't want to talk to you. I'm done talking about this, because all she did was talk about it and you just ignored her. So you have to let her go and have the attitude of, hey, I want to make things work, but you're giving up on us, so hey, I'm going to move on with my life unless I hear differently from you. She knows you want to work it out because obviously you told her. But the time has passed for action. She gave you an opportunity to make things right, and you never did. All you did was talk about what you were going to do, but you never followed through on it. And eventually, when she realized that your words and your actions weren't congruent, she gave up on you. You can't force it, dude. He says, in summary, I waited too long. I over-texted, and I call, and she put up her bitch shield. Do you think that calling saying I was stressed over exams and wasn't thinking clearly? Doesn't matter. She doesn't want to. You already given her enough bullshit excuses, dude. You've already given her enough Kentucky guarantees that she doesn't believe what you say. She's got to get to the point where she realizes that unless she reaches out to you, she's never going to hear from you again. And she gets to the point where she starts questioning, gee, did I make the right decision? He did say he wanted to work it out, and exams are over now, and I haven't heard from him. Maybe he's dating somebody else. Oh my God, maybe I pushed him away. Because she's the one that said she needed time. You're like, you got to give her the time to do it, because you said so yourself that the last 6 months you've been acting needy. You've been over pursuing, and you've been pushing her away by doing that. Or should I put that day behind me and calling her tonight, tomorrow, and somehow get past the initial cold shield and start flirting with her again? Again, dude, your neediness and your over pursuing and your lack of actually setting dates and just kind of being a emotional tampon on the phone, it's got you nowhere. No amount of you trying to stalk her and pursue her is going to make her change her mind. You've got to just walk away and never look back. And if she reaches out to you again after she's had her space and realized, oh my God, he isn't calling me anymore. He's not chasing after me. Did he find somebody new? What's going on? Does he not care anymore? Did he give up? And then when she reaches out, that's when you make the date with her. You don't keep calling, because you're not going to change your mind by doing that. Even if you do get her to go out with you, she's going to be cold, she's going to be distant, she's going to be bitchy because you're the one that's forcing yourself upon her. So you just got to let it go, dude. You got to walk and never look back. And if you don't ever hear from her again, then you know that you totally ruined it. And you just chalk it up to experience. So let's get into the second guy's email. He says, hey coach, I'm 49 years old and my ex-girlfriend and I were together for 14 years. I helped raise her 4 children, especially the youngest, who was 2. They are all the family that I have. She's 18 months older than me and in menopause for over the last 18 months. And 2 days after my 49th birthday, she says that it's over and she never wants to be with another man the rest of her life. Men are too much hard work. Well, alrighty then. For the year before this, she was saying that she wants to grow old with me and how great it is to go out without the children. She's taking down her walls. We were planning holidays together later in the year, and then bang. I have found out that while she was saying all these things to me, she was telling her family and friends that she felt smothered, that I was being too clingy, but she never told me any of this. During this time, I lost my business. I lost around $1.5 million in 2012. Hey man, I've been there, done that. I lost several $1 million in a short period of time when the real estate market was going through all kinds of changes and transitions. So I know what it's like to see a lot of your net worth that you work so hard just poof, literally evaporate in months' time. And my doctor told me that I was clinically depressed. I told him I didn't have time to be depressed. I've gone through hell in the past 8 to 9 months of the breakup, and in that time I have rebuilt myself into a better person and cleaned out all of my shit from my childhood crap. I know she has issues from her past that she is not dealing with, And I know she's very unhappy with her life at the moment, working 50 to 60 hours a week with a bad back. She got rid of me, but her world is no better as of yet. But it doesn't matter. She obviously doesn't want you in her life because you were acting needy and clingy, obviously because you're going through a difficult time. You became uncentered and your whole life got totally thrown out of whack and out of balance. He says, we, meaning probably you, have kept the lines of communication open most of the time, meaning you've been doing all the pursuing, trying to win her back. She has said to me that I'm now over, and her and the children are over no more birthdays or dinners together. Then she gets me invited to do Christmas with the family and all together. Great morning all around, big hug at the end. Ooh, big wide open hug, those are great. But no kissy poo. Things have been going slowly in the right direction, but I can't be the best friends deal. That's why you got to walk and never look back. You got to say, hey, I want to work on our family, but hey, if you're not willing to work on it, then it's a moot point. Give me a call if you change your mind. And when she does reach out to you, you make dates to get there. They hang out, have fun, and hook up. And if you go to kiss her on the lips and she gives you the fucking cheek, you gotta say, hey, I'm not interested in just being friends with you. That doesn't work for me. And if she's not in, if she says, well, that's all I can give you, then say, well, give me a call if you change your mind, and leave. You got to leave the picture. You can't continue to go along with the friends only bullshit because you're acquiescing. You're submitting to what she says she wants. And as a man who has self-respect and self-love, you're going to say, that doesn't work for me. I'm out of here. And she'll either throw in the towel and make a date with you, or she'll let you go. And if she lets you go, then you can move on and meet somebody new. He says, I want her and the family back, but I'm not sure if she's still seeing me as weak. Well, if you're doing all the pursuing when she stuck you in friend zone, you are communicating with your actions that you are okay with being friends. Because like I said a moment ago, if you have self-respect and self-love, you ain't going to put up with that bullshit when you want romance. He says, I'm better and stronger and reasonably happy, and the children love me, and we all get on great. She will bite her nose just because she is so stubborn. I'm looking at doing a Skype phone session with you. Thanks for your time and all the best. But like I said, as far as if you're thinking about booking a phone or Skype session, I'm a week to 2 weeks out. So it's not something you're going to be able to immediately talk to me in the next hour or two. It doesn't work that way. So if you're in like a real emergency, email coaching is the best way to go until I can get you scheduled in for a Skype or a phone session. But in this particular case, from what you've shared here, there's nothing you can do because she's firmly stuck you in friend zone and doesn't want anything romantic. She's giving you hugs like a friend. She's told you she just wants a friend. And she also says, I don't want anything to do with another relationship as long as I live. I've given up. They're too much work. And so getting back together has to be her idea. That's why you need to make it clear to her when she calls you. I wouldn't call her, wouldn't text her, wouldn't do nothing. I would stop 100% of your forward movement. And if she still cares about you in any way, shape, or form when she reaches out, you're going to say, look, I love you and I want to make things work. But if you're not interested in making us work, and you're not interested in romance and making love and all those wonderful things that we always had in the past, then I'm done. I'm moving on with my life. You need to move on with yours. Have a nice life. I'm going to have a nice life. If you change your mind, give me a call because I'd love to work it out. And then when she reaches out, you say, are you ready to get together? Doesn't mean we have to get back together, but I'd like to see you in a romantic setting. But if you're not interested in that, I'm not interested in talking to you. I'm not interested in seeing you or hanging out with you. I can't be around you and the kids and not have everything that we had before. And I'm not as much as I love the kids, I can't just be around them and have you stick me in friend zone and treat me like your gay male girlfriend. It's like, that just does not work for me. I'm not interested in that in any way, shape, or form. So if you are willing to move forward, let's start dating again and having some fun together. But if that doesn't work for you, then let me move on with my life. You move on with your life, and we can say we had a great 14 years together, but it's time to move on with both of our lives and look at it that way. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book phone, Skype, or email coaching. You can choose either of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.